After 4 years, the main character of AEW is back on top. Hangman Adam Page defeated Jon Moxley and the Death Riders at All In Texas in a beautifully brutal and bloody battle that ended a story that we were begging to conclude. The special thing isn't that Hangman won. It wasn't the all-time match that will live in AEW's history. It's what Hangman represents as the main character to all of us. Always being there at the right time.
I will give you my heart, I will give you my soul, I will give you every fiber of my being, and one way or the other, I feel like I may give you my tears. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I can't sleep at night, I'm anxious, I'm depressed. He broke into my home, he threatened my family. We have to leave, we have to leave our home. Do you understand what that's done to me? I don't know that I've ever understood, after everything that I've done, why even one of you would cheer for me, but I don't want this opportunity. I need it.
You see, to understand this, we have to go back 4 years to AEW Full Gear 2021. Hangman and Kenny were ending a multi-year story centered around Hangman's trials and tribulations, touching on alcoholism, depression, and fighting to believe that you're good enough. And maybe even if you don't believe it, your friends do. Themes that are not often touched in professional wrestling. And the other important part of this story is the timing. The culmination to this story was AEW's best to date. Proof that AEW can do long, satisfying stories, and it came at the perfect time. Omega had this iconic run as champion, but the people wanted their own champion, an AEW champion. Not to say that Omega, Mox, and Jericho weren't AEW guys, but they had won major championships in different promotions. The fans finally wanted somebody to stamp as this is our AEW guy. And the fans picked Hangman Adam Page. And while Punk, Danielson, Omega, Mox, all of them were arguably more popular, they weren't the guy that the company needed. Hangman's rise came at the perfect time. And then came the title reign. Hangman's title reign was not the greatest. Even though he would have a couple classics against Danielson and some really memorable moments against the likes of Lance Archer and some moments to put on some younger guys like Dante Martin and Konosuke Takeshita, it wasn't what the fans thought was going to happen when they had finally stamped Hangman Adam Page as AEW's hero. AEW's direction got skewed as they were focusing on people that were just coming into the company like Punk, Danielson, Adam Cole, and Hangman and CM Punk's personal issues coming out on TV, created for compelling television, but certainly was a clear sign that AEW was losing the vision of what the story was supposed to be. 6 months later, Hangman Adam Page was no longer men's world champion. And the next 4 years for AEW was some of the biggest up and down of a roller coaster for a company you could ever experience in that amount of time. Exodus, backstage fights, controversies, classics, and fans divided on if Hangman Page was right in his issues with CM Punk. Despite Hangman not bringing it up, the fans were polarized and divided in AEW. And we would see Hangman Adam Page break just months later when he would scream at Jon Moxley in a promo. Hangman would scream at Mox that the medicine was no longer working. He's anxious, he's depressed, but he keeps getting up because he is a man, and a man that was lost, but still fighting to stay alive, because sometimes that's all you can do. And that is a very important theme of Hangman Adam Page, what it is to be a man. The next year and a half, Hangman would always be there, but he wasn't in these significant stories. He wasn't doing anything that really held significant weight. That wasn't until a fire would light inside him when he would cross paths with Swerve Strickland. Coming off of a $50,000 Battle Royal win, Hangman was attempting to tell the fans that he was donating it to the Chicago Public Education Fund until Swerve interrupted him. Swerve would come out to tell Hangman to stop being a mascot for AEW. He spoke on his lack of confidence that he saw. The fact that he was still wearing the same gear. He had no clear vision, even commenting on Hangman Adam Page's weight. Swerve tells Hangman that he can give up. He can be complacent, rest on his laurels, or he can be a man. He can fight, and he can show the fans and himself what cowboy shit is. This would create arguably AEW's greatest rivalry of all time. Hangman and Swerve would deliver classics after classics, going above and beyond to get into each other's heads. Most notably, Swerve breaking into Hangman's home and placing a shirt on his child in their crib. And while Swerve was attempting to do whatever he could to become world champion, Hangman began to spiral, just as he did in the Omega storyline. He was drinking again, he was angry, he was anxious, he was depressed. This time, though, Hangman went off the deep end, as many other men have. This isn't to say that themes of anger, depression, anxiety, and alcoholism are an exclusive male issue. I think that when Hangman is speaking about being a man, I don't think that he's talking about being male when he's talking about being a man. He is talking about the struggles of toxic masculinity. He's talking about the fear of failure, being a good partner, and relying on others when you're down. Those themes are not exclusive to men or any gender. However, this time, Hangman did none of those. Hangman truly fell off the deep end. And you can pinpoint the moment that he does when he injures Swerve Strickland in a way that we have never really seen in professional wrestling. A syringe to his mouth and a chair shot that sounded like a gunshot, and a tearful eye with the realization that he was too far to help somebody in need. He wasn't a man anymore. He was a monster. And you can see it in his eyes that Hangman is still there, but this anger has taken over him, and he begins to lash out on people that he loves, including his mentor, Christopher Daniels, including Jeff Jarrett. And most importantly, he lashes out, screaming to a camera, to the people that loved him the most, the fans. And the final piece to show that Hangman has lost it was when he iconically burned down Swerve's house. I would argue that there would be many that would understand Hangman, that could even agree with the actions that he did based off of the context. But I think that it goes against Hangman's idea of what it means to be a man and to be a hero for AEW. He was doing it for selfish reasons, and somebody with the moral compass of right and wrong, black and white, he was now living in a world of gray. In January this year, Hangman once again speaks on being a man, telling Christopher Daniels that he was a husk of a man last year and that he has decided who he will be. And he will wake up every morning and make the same decision over and over again, because he would rather injure and maim and would rather tear every living life on this earth apart than be the man that he was last year. This is the monster speaking. This isn't the man that Hangman speaks about being, because the man that Hangman speaks about being is a man that would accept failure, not somebody that would maim and injure people so that he could get to the top. The most important piece of this promo is when Hangman says that he will wake up every morning and make the same decisions over and over and over again. Because of the actions, because of the failures, because of the fans turning on him, Hangman Page is choosing to be a bad person. He is choosing to be the monster, and he can choose to be Hangman Adam Page once again. He's just too fearful of it. He's too fearful of what happened to him before with his child happening again. He won't allow it. The failure, the anxiety, the depression got to him and spiraled in a way that has happened to many men before. And the idea of what it was to be a man shifted to prioritize pain, creating a shield rather than going out on it. Hangman details this rather heavily in the May 7th promo on Dynamite.
The past 2 years for me have been some kind of special hell. And after what happened to me and to my family, I wanted revenge and I wanted justice, and I found it. I took from another man his only hopes and dreams, and I nearly killed him. And I thought that finally I would feel some kind of joy and some kind of closure to what had been an awful chapter of my life. But I felt nothing. And I thought for one moment, I thought that if I went back into the ring and finished the job, I would get that closure, but I couldn't do it. Since I couldn't find that closure there, I took that anger, I bottled it up, and I unleashed it on anyone who got in my way, because I thought that would give me some kind of catharsis. But all it did was tear down everyone around me.
Christopher Daniels tells him that due to the injuries that he had suffered to Hangman Adam Page, he would have to retire. And he tells Hangman, "I'm sorry, I hope you can be happy now." And the "I'm sorry, I hope you can be happy now" apology to Hangman after Hangman just ended his career saw a shift in Page's eyes. And this would continue in his feud with MJF as he was standing opposite of someone that he believed was the antithesis of what he thought a man was. But this man was agreeing with Hangman's actions. He was proud that Page took out Christopher Daniels. He knew he had to change, and it's very important, once again, on the timing. AEW's top story with the Death Riders was at a very weak point and was dragging the company down. Darby was on a mountain and the vision was unclear. There needed to be a story to get behind someone whose struggles we could relate to and fight for AEW. And he became the guy at the perfect time once again. Just as Hangman is climbing the mountain to get to face Jon Moxley at All In, he has to beat the best wrestler in the world, Will Ospreay. And Hangman tells Ospreay that this is personal for him, that he has to win because he needs it more than Ospreay does. Ospreay wants to reach that mountaintop professionally. For Hangman, this is personal. And Hangman lets out his anger. He lets out his anxiety to Ospreay, and it's not in a vicious way, an aggressive way. He's finally speaking to somebody once again like a friend, like he would do to Dark Order or the Elite back in the day. He is finally relying on others to help him. And Hangman chronicles the Christmas morning that he had with his family, when his son sat on the floor playing with his new toys and looked up to his dad staring out the window, looking for someone that he knew would never come back. How many times in 2 years did he look at me and feel disappointment? That's something that Ospreay cannot fathom right now. And that's why Hangman had to win. Hangman and Ospreay would put on arguably the match of the year at Double or Nothing. It's truly an incredible match. And after Hangman won, he began to once again rely on his friends, whether that be the Ops, Will Ospreay, even Swerve. And Hangman would return to his idea of what it is to be a man. He would shed the toxic masculinity of hurting people around him to disguise his failures. He began to rely on his friends like the Ops and Ospreay again. And the last part comes right before All In. Hangman always questions why the fans love him even after everything that he has done, but ultimately, gratefully, finally accepts their admiration. And finally, he gets the closure and gains acceptance from what he and Swerve have done to each other and chooses to put it behind him instead of continuing to feed more of the anger that used to fuel him. And the best part of this is Jon Moxley is disgusted by this act. Marina Shafir calls him a pussy because Moxley represents a very different version of what it is to be a man. He represents that toxic masculinity. There's so many in the locker room that represent the need to step over others to get to the top. Hangman has finally proved that out of this dark time, he is back to being the man that we knew he could be. Now, Hangman still had to do the thing. Hangman still had to win at All In. He still had to defeat Jon Moxley and the Death Riders. The right guy at the right time, and he just needed to stick to landing. What happened at AEW All In was perfect. And with the help of a fork, the most recent Everest climber, Blue Panther, kind of, and a chain from an old foe, Hangman took the chain and choked out Jon Moxley, proving that everything that Jon Moxley had done, everything that he said, was false. Because Mox's version of what it was to be a man was false. The moment that he realized that the Death Riders were taken out, that he was alone, he was anxious, he was scared, and he panicked. And he tapped to a man that stood by his words, and he knew what it was to be a man. Hangman won and opened up the briefcase to unveil the AEW World Championship that the fans had not seen since it was on Bryan Danielson. If Moxley's the shipwright, the man to steer AEW into the right direction, Hangman is the captain that accepts the responsibility to fly the flag and reach the mountaintop at the exact time that the fans need him. Because that's what it means to be a man. Because that's cowboy shit. Thank you guys for watching. I know I said that I was going to come out with a new series, but this just came over me. I never really planned on making a Hangman Page video essay, despite him being very, very important to me in terms of wrestling. I always just thought that there would be much better people to write a video essay like this because I'm still kind of learning the ropes about everything, but it just came over me and I really, really wanted to make this video. So hopefully the next video is that series, but for right now, it just came over me that I really wanted to make something about Hangman because this character really speaks to me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.